Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of 3. Today, my guests will be talking about how your home environment could be making you sick. If you're physically sick, you won't be able to work on your mental health or your spiritual growth. And whether it's overcoming anxiety and depression, losing weight, or detoxing your body in the proper way, and even increasing that level of frequency in life, you need a strong physical foundation of health in order to gain the willpower to make the bigger changes in your life. If you're new to following me, I specialize in helping you get there. You can find my health articles, my cutting edge natural supplements, devices, and protocols at sarabantahealth.com. My company is the sponsor of the show, so as you support my website, I'm able to bring you more cutting edge content and guests to the show. So like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the importance of the health in your home. But first, I want to talk about some tools you can use to enhance the health results you achieve and make it easier to reverse hormonal decline, improve energy, and yes, actually reverse aging. The goal is to improve mitochondrial health and increase energy at the cellular level. And as you're doing that, you're reducing insulin resistance, reducing toxicity, improving mitochondrial health, and increasing that energy. And when you're doing all of that, all those things are tied to reverse aging and eliminating all chronic disease. The first is accelerated scalar copper. This is new to my company, and I'm so excited. My daughter has been anemic since the day she was born. And did you know anemia is not from iron or a lack of? It's from copper, because copper is the key to open the door to allow the iron to get where it wants to go. We're going to learn about how copper deficiency can affect our health. And what happens is it increases the accelerated copper has increased absorption. Most copper supplements only have 5% absorption. It has 99% absorption. Accelerated copper is made with the proprietary scalar technology that we use for the silver and gold as well. It's the only copper that is nanoscalar copper, treated with water implosion technology, which cleans out all of the rogue frequencies. And then it's enhanced with scalar frequencies to enhance absorption and increase that efficacy. And it is made with only ozonated and UV sterilized distilled water and 99.99% ultra fine scalar copper. No other copper supplement out there is like this. It is the key to anemia, to fatigue. There's so many enzymatic reactions in the body that are dependent on copper. So people are not getting it. It is not in the food supply like it used to be. It is something that most people are deficient in. Then is the accelerated keto. This supplement is not just any keto supplement. It flips you into fat burning mode within 30 minutes, and your body taps into its own fat stores for energy right away. What does this do? This makes you feel great physically and mentally, and you feel like, okay, now I can do this, whatever it is, whether it's with your work or with your workouts or just your family life. You now feel the energy that you can actually do it. The body's running on ketones from the keto product, from the accelerated keto. You combine that with intermittent fasting and a low carb diet, and the ATP production increases at least 5 times. And then what happens is that mitochondria and the energy increase significantly. The additional ingredients in the accelerated keto go way beyond any other supplement, where it actually turns the saturated fats into unsaturated fats. Why is this important? The unsaturated fats are easier for the body to utilize and easier for the body to convert into ketones. So when you're fasting, the body fat's more readily available to burn for energy, and you increase those ketones even more, and then you increase that autophagy. And the autophagy is like Pac-Man going through the body and cleaning up all the damaged and diseased cells, and you're going to reduce that inflammation as well. We want autophagy because that is going to increase that ATP production again. The accelerated keto is also able to defat the liver. We get visceral fat and fatty liver disease. That accelerated keto is going after it. The more a person's liver is defatted and unclogged, the easier it is for it to function in all areas, including breaking down the fat molecules into energy, increasing that mitochondrial biogenesis. And the liver is also where the thyroid hormone converts from T4 to T3. Now, that T4 stands for tyrosine and 4 molecules of iodine. We need that iodine, which I'll talk about in a minute, but you need that conversion to happen in the liver. When the liver's dirty and gunked up, which now, as we're going to be talking with our guests, not just the food we're taking in, but the air we're breathing, the cleaning products we're using, the perfumes we're using, all of that is backing up our livers. We need a clean liver for optimal health. And so you also will need that liver clean for your thyroid and your metabolism to function optimally. It also has HMB in there. And why is that important? As we get older, it's harder to keep our muscle mass. Muscle mass increases longevity. So when we start losing that muscle mass, we're aging really quickly. HMB prevents muscle wasting. So that's the accelerated keto. Then you add in the acceleradine. This is a supplement that every single person in your family and friend group need to be on. And the reason is it is actually going to help with your immune system, but it is needed. Iodine is needed in all tissues, not just the thyroid, to help increase that ATP production by 18 times. That is the true cellular energy for brain function, physical performance, your wound healing, fat burning, healthy apoptosis. Apoptosis is that destruction of disease cells and cancer cells. So that's part of the reverse aging. And when the ATP increases, energy and fat oxidation increase. So you've got the acceleradine increasing ATP by 18 times. Then you've got the accelerated keto increasing ATP by at least 5 times. You add in the accelerated silver and the accelerated copper, and that increase just is exponential, right? So we don't even know the math behind it, but you are going to be feeling great. It also helps improve the metabolism and your physical energy by providing the necessary iodine for the thyroid hormones at T4, T3, T2. And acceleradine is the only monoatomic iodine that feeds every cell directly without having to be broken down like others. Most other iodine supplements have toxic ingredients or toxic iodine and are only 10 to 20% absorbed. Acceleradine also is enhanced with scalar frequencies to detox the cells from heavy metals, graphene oxide, the spike protein, and radiation. No other iodine incorporates these healing scalar frequencies. And then you add in the accelerated ancient salt. It is necessary to have emulsifying salt and minerals, not only to stimulate digestion, but to hydrate the cells when you're fasting. Accelerated salt is not just sodium. It is over 62 minerals. It is also scalar charged to further enhance its frequencies, to reverse the damage to the DNA. It helps with nausea, digesting fats, rehydration at the cellular level, detoxification from the radiation and heavy metals. And of course, it tastes amazing. You will not ever want to use another salt. Coming soon, hopefully very soon, is the accelerated thyroid. And that combines ancient herbal wisdom of the Ayurvedic Kanchanara with advanced glandular therapy. So it has all of the best supplements for thyroid all combined into one, and it supports the whole endocrine system. So we truly have created the unique only supplement that does all of this. I give more tips and tools through my free group coaching. You can join with the link below on Telegram or email me through acceleratedhealthproducts.com. The difference between me and any other group coach is I provide the most cutting edge frequency enhanced supplements that work synergistically with each other, and your body doesn't experience those flu-like symptoms. You do feel great day one. Leave a comment below if you're interested, or check it out on the website, sarabantahealth.com. Now to the good stuff. Beth Greer, the supernatural mom, is an award-winning journalist, health home transformer, and founder and CEO of True Vitality Project. Her best-selling book, Supernatural Home, Improve Your Health, Home, and Planet, One Room at a Time, a book for a Better Life Award finalist, is endorsed by Deepak Chopra and Dr. Joseph Mercola. Welcome, Beth. How are you today?
Great to be here, Sara.
I'm so excited to have you on. Your camera's off, so I don't know if you. There we go. I'm so excited to get into these topics because I remember when I was first on my health journey, I had hit rock bottom. I knew that I had to change my food. I knew that I should probably start taking some supplements, and I dove deep into that. But the thought of changing my cleaning supplies, my laundry detergent, not wearing my perfume, not wearing my deodorant, all of these things was so overwhelming. And the EMFs, now that we are being bombarded by that. So I'm so excited for you to tell us some easy steps and to take and why we need to be taking them. But first, I want you to tell everybody about your journey and what brought you here and why you're so passionate about this topic.
Great. So it's 20 years ago now, I was running a multinational company called the Learning Annex. And that's how I got to meet Deepak Chopra and Mercola. But I thought I was leading a healthy lifestyle. I ate well, I exercised, I even had a meditation practice. And then I developed this pain in my shoulder, went to the chiropractor. And after 5 sessions, he said, you need to get an MRI. I think you have a herniated disc. I got the MRI and they said, we think there's a mass in your chest. I was just blown away. I mean, I was blown away. So they gave me a needle biopsy, and luckily it was not cancerous, but it was a large mass that was pressing on the brachial plexus. And so my first 3 fingers were getting numb. Mm-hmm. And I went to 3 top surgeons and they all said, we need to cut it out. So one wanted to cut me under my collarbone, the second one under my armpit, and the third one said, no, we're going to remove one of your ribs from the back and I'm going to heal you. I remember that doctor said that to me, and I just thought, this is insane. I'm not going to have surgery. And from all of the teachings that I learned from all these master teachers, I decided to take charge of my own health. And I went to the Optimal Health Institute down in San Diego, and I started a juice cleanse, doing colonics, so detoxing. And then one of the things that they asked us to do was to talk to our disease. And so I asked, what are you here? What's the message? And it said, the word came to me, to simplify. And I realized that I wasn't leading a simple life, and I wasn't eating simply or doing anything simply. I was eating out all the time. I was using a microwave, So I decided to change my diet. Number one, looked at the food I was eating, the water I was drinking, and then I thought, well, what else can I simplify? And I looked at the moisturizer I was using on my skin, and it had like a paragraph worth of ingredients on it. And so I thought, well, this isn't good. So I switched out to all natural, coconut oil, baking soda as a deodorant, for example. And then I was looking at what else can I simplify? And I had a bottle of Windex. I was spraying it on my counter, and I looked at the label and it said hazardous to humans and domestic animals. And I thought, okay, this is not good. So I researched, my background is in journalism. So I did a whole bunch of research and discovered that there's all these chemicals in everything that we're cleaning with, putting on our skin, drinking, eating. So I switched out to all natural products, and it took about 5 months. The pain disappeared, and I had the mass rescanned, and it was gone.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was a huge wake-up call to me that our bodies are self-healing if we clean them and get out of the way and don't really bombard ourselves with all the stuff that's in almost every product that we're using if we're not aware.
Yeah, and it's really sad that we can't trust these companies, right? You would think that a dish soap is going not to be hazardous to our health because obviously we're washing our dishes and then going to eat out of those dishes. So
Right.
you would think that these companies would be looking out for us, but they're not. And
No.
it's really difficult, as you know, being a mom, because your kids are sitting there going, but none of the other kids eat like us, or none of the other kids do what you're doing, mom. And even my husband says, well, that dish soap doesn't work.
Right.
The natural stuff doesn't work. So
And try having a teenage daughter. I remember at the time, she's 25 now, but she was a teenager. And, I was trying to give her the natural makeup, but she was using Maybelline mascara because all of her friends were. And I'm extremely, my camera keeps going. I tried to explain to her, sweetie, this mascara has mercury in it, and this is not good for you. So luckily she's kind of moved over into doing more natural things and eating more cleanly. But yeah, it's a challenge.
it is a challenge. One of my hot topics and big passions are about our EMFs. And, you can, and I'm sure you talk about this, not have this smart meter on your house. You can choose to opt out. Most states allow that. And I
Mhm.
have to tell you a funny story. When I called the company and asked to opt out, he said, well, I'm going to have to order one for you. We don't have any. I said, that's fine. He calls me back and he says, I got two in and I'm taking one to my own house. And I thought he is working for the company and he's smart enough to know. So let's talk about the damage that the home environment is doing, especially with our kids on their cell phones all
Right.
the time. But even a bigger discussion is the 5G towers that are being put up everywhere,
Yeah.
and the smart meters. And then here we are on our computer. So there's this bucket that just keeps building and building and building of radiation. And everyone is wondering why they're anxious and why they're depressed and all of these things that are happening, and the increased rate of people dying and cancer. So let's get into the EMFs.
Heart palpitations too. So yeah, I mean, it's just growing exponentially. And I know during COVID, they started putting up many, many more cell towers and high tension wires and all this. So the thing is, it's hard to manage what's going on outside. I mean, the most important thing is to manage first what you can control in your own home. Obviously, you don't want to be living near a cell phone tower. And there are things that you can do if you happen to be there. Are certain, paint you can buy, and Faraday cages, and people sleep under tents. But I just want to talk about some of the simple things that people can do in their own homes. So, for example, I don't use Wi-Fi, so I have an Ethernet cable, and I don't know why my camera's going out. It's never done that before, but it's a very strong signal. So it's something to think about. And then the other thing is that if your if your laptop has the button on it that says Wi-Fi is on, even though you're not using it, it's constantly searching for the Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah.
So turn it off. I mean, it's such a simple thing to do. And turn off your Bluetooth if you're not using it. So I have these meters that I measure, and it's like when the laptop has the Wi-Fi button turned on, even though there's no Wi-Fi in the house, it's searching, and the field on the computer is very high. Another thing you can do, and this has been a game changer for me and my clients, is that on the cell phone, so I have an iPhone, so on the settings, if you go to your cellular, so I'll just show you, it'll say, I don't know if you can see, whoop, wrong way.
Yeah, right.
It'll say cellular and it says off right now.
Yep.
That's what you want. So that reduces the amount of radiation like exponentially. So what that means is you can still make a phone call and receive phone calls, and you can get texts. You just can't send iMessages, and you can't talk to Siri, and you can't surf the web, for example. But the amount of radiation that's reduced just by doing that simple thing is extraordinary.
That's important. And you can always turn it on when you do need to use those functions.
Exactly.
But
So that's
yeah,
what I do. I'll turn it on occasionally, and then I'm like, ding, 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 ding. I'll get all these people, the text, the iMessages will come in, and then I'll turn it off again. The other thing that I always recommend, when you sleep, it's really a time where you're healing. And what I realize is that when we're out and about and we're being bombarded with all these radiation rays and all that, our bodies are kind of in a defensive mode. But when you're sleeping, you're defenseless. You're completely out, relaxed, almost paralyzed in a way. So you have no defenses. So you really want to sleep in a safe environment. So the best thing to do is to turn off your circuit breaker into your bedroom. It's such an easy little, flip the switch. Because what I discovered was, so I have lamps on either side of the bed. If they're plugged in, they're emitting. Even though the lamps are off or the switch is off, they're still emitting a field. So I can't forget. Instead of going around and turning off and unplugging everything, all you have to do is turn the circuit breaker off. So to the bedroom, and then if there's anything else that's close by in your living room, let's say what's on the other side of your bedroom wall. So I had a client who's she couldn't sleep, and then I measured her walls, and there was a very high field, and I said, "What's on the other side of the wall?" It was a refrigerator, because the garage was there, and there was a big refrigerator in the garage with the motor, beaming right at her bed. So she turned the refrigerator off. Or actually, I think in this case, she was able to move the bed to the other wall, because distance is really important.
so how far, because a lot of people will say, I use my iPhone as my alarm to wake me up in the morning. So but I have it 5 feet away from me.
No.
How far away is safe?
Okay. First of all, you can set an alarm in airplane mode. So when you put your phone in airplane mode, it's almost nothing's coming off of that thing. So, or I would put the phone, if you need to have the phone on. Some people say, well, I might get a call from an elderly parent or a child or something. I want the phone on. Put it in the bathroom. You'll still hear your alarm. So it needs to be a good, 12 feet away, really, to be safe. There are some people who are sensitive to EMFs, and as soon as they walk into a room, they can sense it.
I can definitely feel it. I mean, after sitting at my computer for an hour, I need to get out and I need to go stand outside. And it's amazing how my body just says, oh, I just want to be outside in the natural sun, in the natural environment, and away from these frequencies. We talk about the healing frequencies in some of the supplements, and so we know that there's healing frequencies. There's also healing devices. I talk about the Genius Insight app or the Amp coil, and there's things like the biocharger and the Rife machine. All of these are positive frequencies. Well, the EMFs are just bad frequencies that are disrupting our health. And it's one of those things that people don't like to focus on because they can't see it, right? They can't see it where you can see the food that you're in, the water that you're drinking, and the Diet Coke and all of those things, and they're bad for you. Let's switch to the pesticides and the herbicides and all of those things. When my daughter, we obviously don't spray our home, but I can't tell the elementary school to not spray the school. And every time they sprayed, my daughter would come home just completely congested, headaches, and would actually stay home for a day or two feeling sick. Because at the time, we really didn't know what was going on. I didn't know.
Well, yeah, it's a big problem. I'm in Florida, and they're spraying not only pesticides on the ground, but they're coming by with planes and spraying for mosquitoes. So it's a problem. And that's why I think it's so important to be detoxing all the time, like you advocate your detox programs. But the thing is that, again, what we can control in our homes, do not bring in food with pesticides. So again, you can't smell it or taste it. It looks beautiful. You go into a store and you see these beautiful apples, but apples are like one of the number one fruits that have been sprayed with multiple different pesticides on them. And then if you think about applesauce or apple juice that's not organic, it's concentrated. So people say it's more expensive, possibly initially, but it's so worth it because you're going to be paying the price of having those pesticide residues inside of you, and they're wreaking havoc on us. So they're also spraying pesticides in our, a lot of like clothing. Even you've seen in the stores where they're spraying sunscreen on and pesticides, and they're putting them into makeup and all kinds of personal care products. So we just need to be aware and start to read labels on our personal care products and makeup the way we do read labels on our food. So it might sound a little overwhelming, but I guess the simplest thing is to really to simplify, buy things that have the fewest ingredients, and if you can, buy things without labels. Start to grow your own food.
It's, when I came out with the accelerated face cream, that was a product where we literally created food for the skin. And a lot of people out there right now, because of COVID, because of the spiked protein, they're getting these rashes. Well, why is the body trying to push out these toxins out of the skin? It's your largest organ. So as we're putting all of these toxins on our skin, it's going right into our bloodstream in our body, just like if we're putting it in our mouth. It's not like our skin is this protective barrier where it's going to keep those pesticides and the herbicides and the GMOs and the Roundup all out of our system. And with the Maybelline and the makeup and the other stuff and the hair products, a lot of people are complaining about hair loss because of COVID. And one thing right away, make sure you look at your hair gels and your shampoos and make sure they're natural, because putting toxins on your scalp, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that a lot of these cosmetics have ingredients in there to drive the product deeper into your skin, sunscreen, deodorant, for example. So right there. So yeah, you want to make sure that what you're putting on your skin, in particular, your head, your face, it goes into the bloodstream, like you said. So it's something to really be aware of and pay attention to. And also, they're putting a lot of fragrances in things. So I want to talk a little bit about fragrance, because you see the word fragrance on a label. It can mean 100 to almost 1,000 different chemicals in that one catchphrase. They don't have to tell you what's in there. And so, I've talked to scientists about this. It's just extraordinary what manufacturers can get away with. And so it causes upper respiratory problems in particular. So this one woman called me into her home and she said, I have a chronic cough. I'm on inhalers and codeine cough syrup. No one can figure it out. She said, the funny thing is when I sleep at a hotel, I don't cough. And I just thought, wow, there's something going on in your home. And when I walked into her bedroom, she had about 20 scented candles sitting on her windowsill. And I could feel my throat getting itchy. And I said, well, this is your problem right here. And she's like, no. These were expensive. They were gifts. And I light them every night. And I had to convince her to let me put them in a bag and take them out. And a few days later, she called me up and she said her cough was gone, because not only were there fragrances in there, she also had a whole cabinet full of scented hair products, scented deodorant, makeup, cologne, so nail polish. It's all, so think about it. You're just being bombarded by all these different chemicals.
Yeah, and that's where all of these things are filling your toxic bucket up, increasing the estrogens in the body, and this is what's causing cancer and diseases. And so you wonder, well, I'm eating a clean diet and I only drink a little bit of alcohol and I exercise every day, but it's not just the food that you're putting in your mouth, it's the stuff that you're putting on you, your environment. Let's talk about the kitchen. What can we change in the kitchen, and what are the biggest offenders?
Okay, great question. So you need to be really selective about the water that you're drinking. So water has like over-the-counter drugs in it. I mean, the water treatment plants don't filter out pain meds, sex hormones, right? There's heavy metals and solvents in there. And over time, these small amounts, they build up in our bodies. So you want to get yourself a really good water filter. Some people are just drinking spring water, bottled spring water. Stay away from plastic. That's another one. So if you get a water filter and you want to take it to go, put it into either a glass or a metal, stainless steel, not aluminum. So speaking of aluminum, people are using aluminum cookware, and that's really, really toxic because heavy metals, they get into our brains. They're linked to Alzheimer's. So, restaurants for the most part are using aluminum cookware. So over the year, I love to eat out in nice places, but over the years, I've sort of been cooking more because the thing about, going to restaurants too is, oh, you like a salad. Okay. And what kind of oil do you use? Well, then they have to go ask the chef. It's canola oil. And these are places that are even dubbed, organic or whatever. It's just shocking. Canola oil is so toxic. And, so
when I talk to my clients about what they're putting in their mouths, sugar, yeah, it's damaging, it's inflammatory, it causes insulin resistance, all those things, but it's in and out of your body within a day. The canola oil and the seed oils are in your body for over a year, causing more damage than cigarettes almost. And it's something where what you mentioned about the restaurants, their olive oil sometimes is cut, 50-50 canola oil, olive oil. So it is hard to trust. And does that take the fun out of life? Well, maybe do it a little less, cook more, make your dining experience at home more special, or doing it in a way that's more enjoyable. And I mean, I love cooking at home. I love my food because I know how to make it the way I like it, and it's enjoyable. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then we'll come right back with Beth Greer.
Great.
Welcome back to Accelerated Health Radio and TV. I'm here with Beth Greer, and we're talking about how your home could be making you sick. Beth, we were talking about the kitchen, and you, especially moms, and the foods, and those ingredients that are not natural on the food labels. Should we worry about them, especially the food dyes?
Yeah, food dyes is my favorite topic because people, again, don't realize how toxic this can be, and especially for children because they love to have colored, brightly colored foods, icings and things like that, and ices and jelly beans and all that. So food dyes have been banned in certain countries in Europe, or at least there's warning labels on them. And here in America, there's no warning labels. So I think they once banned red dye something, years ago, but ever since then, they're not. And so there's a food dye now that's come out. It's a white dye. It's called E171, and it's titanium dioxide based. And so it whitens candy and gum and things like that, flour. So all these food dyes are endocrine disruptors. They're very, very toxic, and they're linked to heart disease and obesity. So, again, if you can cook yourself, bake yourself, or at least find out the foods that have, the purest. I remember I used to do a presentation live, in front of groups, and I'd bring a little show and tell, and I had this white bread that I got from Safeway, and actually it was the reason I bought it because it said 100% whole wheat on it, and so I wanted to show people that it's important to, when you're buying something, that you want it to say 100%, but sometimes it'll say made with whole wheat, and that could mean just 1%. Even in a cosmetic or something, if it says made with essential oils, it can mean 1 drop. You want something with 100%. So anyway, this bread I carried around with me, and it was in a plastic bag, and I didn't put it in the refrigerator or freezer. I had left it out, and I realized it was like now 6 months later, and the bread had no mold on it. And I thought, what's going on? And I looked at the label, and it had calcium propionate in it, which is a mold inhibitor, really works. But I also read that it causes ADHD in laboratory animals. So imagine what that's doing to your kids. You're buying Wonder Bread or some kind of white bread with calcium propionate in it.
Exactly. The last weekend, I bought some wild bison hot dogs because we have, I can't remember the last time I had a traditional hot dog. And my daughters do the marketing, and they went to the market and they came home with some gluten-free buns. And I looked at the back of it, and of all the ingredients, yeah, it was gluten-free. But I looked at them, I said, you might as well have gluten, because there are so many words on this ingredient list that I can't even pronounce. And of course, it didn't even taste good. And then, so to add to the story, my husband says, well, I'm going to have a real hot dog. I'm going to go get a real bun. He goes to the market. He comes home, and I'm looking at that package. Yes, it has gluten, and I'm sure it tasted good, but it was full of canola oil and all of the offenders that we talk about in a piece of bread. And I'm sitting here going, we just want a piece to enjoy a hot dog, but I guess you can't. The meat was delicious. And then he went and he got some relish, which was full of corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, instead of just organic pickles. So I mean, you really do have to be careful. Unfortunately, we are salmon swimming upstream in this world. And would we be fine eating a hot dog, a real hot dog, if we didn't have the EMFs and the dish soap that is full of toxins and the pesticides and the radiation and the 5G and all of these other things that are filling up our toxin bucket? And that's the problem. Our ancestors did not live like this. They did not have those offenders. They did not need liver cleanses. Now, I recommend a liver cleanse 3 to 4 times a year just to stay on top of it. And it's unfortunate. And then you add in our food supply is not only toxic, but it's absent of the minerals and the vitamins that we are needing.
I dedicated my book to my grandmother, Supernatural Home, to my grandmother, because there was never a can in her house. She made everything fresh. It was all, she had chicken with a feet on it. And so it was just a different way of living right now. And I guess all the food manufacturers want a longer shelf life. So we're suffering from it.
We are. You talk about the importance of the right kind of light for healing and health. Why don't we finish and talking about that before we end?
Okay. So sunlight is just so important to our health. If it's possible to get out in the sun, I try to get out every morning and look at the sun early in the morning. I'm not saying stare at it, but just get the light in our eyes, and it stimulates the receptors and for the melatonin in the evening. And so it sets my day. And also to get sunlight on our skin, because it's the best way to produce vitamin D. Everyone is so afraid of getting sunburned or skin cancer, but it has nothing to do with the sun, I don't believe. There are natural sunscreens in my book. I have one where it's just a vitamin C spray and it prevents you from burning. But we really need we need the sun, and so people are slathering on, sunscreens which are toxic, especially on their children, and they're covering them up. So the sun is so important. And then in terms of light, our computers and phones and TVs, they emit a blue light. And so the sunlight has it has a spectrum of light, but it doesn't have a lot of blue in it. So what happens is the blue light really impacts our sleep. And so before bed, if we're staring at a screen or watching TV, we're going to have a hard time falling asleep. And so you can get a pair of blue blocker glasses, which blocks the blue light, or if you can, turn on some soft lights, candle light before bed. Just keep the lights low. Fluorescent lights are pretty toxic too. So it's just as much natural light as you can. And these other artificial lights are just, they're hard on our systems. So, and also looking at the sunset, if you can as well, is also a good thing. And tonight, well, it's a full moon, but I think it might be a lunar eclipse, so I don't know, but it'd be nice to look at the moon too, if you can.
Yeah, and that is something that I have told my clients for a long time, is to wake up and look at the sunrise and the sun, to set your circadian rhythm, because that's going to help you sleep the next night. And we just had the time change, which really messes you up. And there's a reason our bodies are saying, "Wait, what are you doing? I don't want to change my clock. My clock didn't change." Right. So it really does make a difference. I live in Southern California. You used to live in California, and now you're in Florida. We're both in very sunny states. I do not use sunscreen. I noticed that you get sunburn if you're eating the standard American diet and the seed oils and the canola oils. When you cut that stuff out of your diet, you don't get sunburned. Mm-hmm. I will lay in my backyard when the UV is 10, and I probably shouldn't do that, but I do, and I still don't get sunburned. And it's the same. That's what I tell my kids, because the sunscreen thing is really tricky. It's this, you are, like we talked about, the skin being the largest organ, and it's just soaking in those nutrients or those toxins, whatever you're putting on your skin. Well, we have a couple more minutes left, Beth. What top 5 things would you tell people to go do today that's easy and doable?
Okay, so the first 3 is you take a look at what you're putting in your body, and then take a look at what you're putting on your skin, and then surrounding yourself with. So I would definitely work on the water and the food, being as organic as possible. And then on your skin, your deodorant, toothpaste would be my top 2. Things that you're using every day, all the time. Take a look at the label. And deodorants, these stick deodorants have propylene glycol in it, which is found in antifreeze. So you don't want to do that. So just take a look at the labels on those 2 things. And then what you're surrounding yourself with, start cleaning with natural products, vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, essential oils, or if you don't want to do that, just get the most basic cleaners. I have a list on my website of cleaning products and makeup and all that stuff that you can look at and to give you an idea. And in my book, I list all those things as well, and things to stay away from, and which ones to choose. But I think that's so those 3 things. And then being out in nature, if you could get out in nature at least an hour a day, I mean, it'll change your life. I was stuck in an office, for so many years. I just never got out in the sun. I think that's part of the reason that I had my tumor, from the stress and also just not getting out. And so now I make sure that I'm walking every morning and being out in the sunshine, breathing in fresh air. And also the last thing is to really check your cell phone and your computers and all that, and make sure that you're not like swimming in a field. Turn off your router at night. I mean, that's so simple, but why be bathed in that all night long? So those are my 5.
I absolutely agree with all of them. And start thinking about maybe intermittent fasting a little bit, maybe taking a few supplements to start gently detoxing your body as you're doing this. All of these things work together. Also, during the season like the fall, we have to be more aware of mold, right? And so don't eat the foods that are full of mold. That's going to trip up your detox pathways, compounded by the mold in the environment. That's
If you smell mold in your house, you've got it. And I teach people how to discover how they get it and then have it analyzed in a lab. It's very inexpensive, but it's really eye-opening to know if you're being surrounded by mold every day, you're not going to heal well.
Yes.
At least 50% of you. Some people are not so sensitive, but I find that in a home has a lot of mold toxicity, if a husband and wife, one thinks the other one's a hypochondriac because the other one feels fine. So somehow genetically, some people are more predisposed to not healing from mold or not being bothered by it.
Wonderful, Beth. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you?
Supernaturalmom.com.
Wonderful. I'm going to check it out because I'm assuming you've got listed the natural products that actually work, right? And not the ones that don't work. So I'm super excited to check it out.
I've got a tab up there for recommended products. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Beth. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us today. If I can help you with your health issues, you can contact me directly through the website, sarabantahealth.com. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you. I know sometimes it's hard to know where to start. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, and my YouTube channel under Accelerated Health Radio, and over 100 channels, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, Pandora, or whatever podcast platform you subscribe to. If you like what you heard today, please hit the subscribe button and share with a few of your friends who may need my help. As you share my channel, it helps me help more people like you and bring more cutting edge guests to the show. We are here every Monday at 2 p.m. Pacific time live and Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific live. So join us, and you can find the supplements and all of my podcasts at sarabantahealth.com. Use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide. Thanks again for joining us here on Accelerated Health Radio, and have a great week. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you. Bye.